Hello YouTube, it's your boy Nathan coming to you to do another recap video. Today we are talking 90 Day Fiancé Season 12 Episode 8, Love is a Work in Progress. So we're just going to get on into it. Yeah, this video, I'm going to try not to make it too long on this video. Not much fully went down in this episode. The first couple I want to talk is Marissa and Edward. So in this episode, throughout their whole story, for the most part, Marissa and Edward are actually, believe it or not, are a good couple. Okay. There's a lot of love. There is love. I do see it between them. But the problem with them is just that Marissa is just too bossy to him, and she is really talks, just really treats him like a kid. She feels like he's a kid and stuff. Well, in this episode, I guess Edward was asked to do a task basically. I guess some contractors came over and really messed up Marissa's fence or whatever, and so Edward had to fix the incompetency of what the contractors did or whatever. So he tries to fix Marissa's fence, and he got some old pieces of wood and stuff from her living room, and to try to fix and stuff. And he gets an A for effort. He really did not do a good job. he did not do a good job. Marissa came out and said what is this? And he said, it doesn't have to look good, but it's fixed. He's like, I just fixed it, and it doesn't have to look good. Yes, it does have to look good, dude. Sorry, I'm actually with Marissa on this one. It really just looked like because the fence was bent. It wasn't straight. It wasn't properly leveled the right way and everything. He just it literally just looked like he put a band-aid on the situation on the fence and stuff and everything. He locked up the gate door. He said you could go around the other way and stuff. And Marissa was just like, well, what if people walk past and see this, she said, this, she used the term white trash, basically. And he was like, they don't pay my bills and stuff and everything. But she was like, well, I pay your bills. And I want this to look nice and everything. And then there was some mess. She was like, you better clean this up. And I want this cleaned up today, not tomorrow, not in an hour, really right now. He was like, okay, whatever, basically. And so she kept on telling him that she just still feels like he's a kid and stuff. So he does that. I mean, on this one, he's not a kid, but he like I said, he gets an A for effort. I'm gonna give him an A for effort, but he's not a contractor. He doesn't know how to really fix things. And I'm not making fun of him for that, because I'm not great when it comes to that kind of stuff either. But what I do know is that presentation is key. And that presentation was just not good. So I actually get Marissa's frustration when it came to that fence. So he's still feeling nothing he's doing, though, is good enough, basically. So they decided to later now go on a trip to New York. And in the car ride, Edward was talking about, wanting to basically venture off to New York by himself and everything. And Marissa's just what do you just can't, really can't do that. You're just more on a fly type kind of guy, and just not really planning anything out. And then they get into an argument about Marissa's lifestyle, and Edward made a comment by saying that this is the life that she chose to live, basically this high lifestyle and everything. Marissa said that when she was married and had the kids, she didn't envision herself getting divorced, and then she got divorced, and it just took a lot out of her and everything. She said she doesn't regret having her kids and stuff, but she said she didn't know that she was going to be divorced like this and everything. And he's just and so she kind of got offended when he said, oh, well, this is the life you chose. But Marissa's feeling he's just not understanding everything, and he just keeps saying that he will figure it all out. And I don't know. I see Edward's point though. Nothing. It just seems like nothing he's doing is ever going to be good enough for Marissa and everything. And I don't know. I don't know. It's just I said this last week. I appreciate her going after somebody that's not normally that she would go after and stuff and everything, giving somebody a fair chance. But you can't like demasculate him and make him feel like he's less than. I'm so tired of these people making these people feel like they're less than all the time. It's just really not fair. Everybody is worth something and everything. Nobody is less than. Like you can't just be overwriting your partner like that. Like, where's the love? I mean, that's what I'm saying with that. Where's the love? But judging by the previews of next week, they're going to be having a little fun in New York. So, I'm sure Edward is going to love that. So we'll see how that plays out. So that was Marissa and Edward. The next couple I want to talk is Thomas and Paula. Yo, Thomas and Paula, they're weird. They are weird. They're still my favorite couple of the season, but it's just getting, it's just getting weird. Their storyline is just starting to not, I don't know. So in this episode, I guess remember last week, Thomas actually gave Paula that $25,000 credit card, basically. And she's already spent a good portion of it. And she bought this, she likes to buy those miniature things. She bought that bought a miniature couch, basically. And Thomas is like, what the heck is this? And everything. And so she's like wanting like furniture and stuff and everything. And he's just not like out buying it. So Paula goes over to her neighbor's house. I think one guy's name is Felix, and these two guys and stuff. And I guess one of the guys is Brazilian, and that she became friends with. And she goes over there, and she feels like that when she moved here, she didn't with the small amount of closet space. She just feels like a little bit of a prisoner, basically. I think that's what she said. Prisoner, or just, I don't know, and stuff in her own home. She's like she said that you guys have we have a bed instead of a couch or something like that and stuff and everything. And she is like really contemplating on going back to Brazil. So she talked to her friends that way. They're just like, oh, wow. So Thomas and Paula decided to go out, and they once again get into an argument about space. They get into an argument about who's doing more and everything. Thomas said that, Paula's not cutting him any slack because he was like, I got her here. I did all the paperwork and paid all the fees and stuff, and got her a credit card and stuff. Now okay, I know that's a lot, and I'm not downplaying that. That is a lot, but she still came over here from a different country. Now I know a lot of people, a lot of the foreigners on the show like to throw that card and like in our faces a lot. Oh, I gave up my whole life to come over here. You didn't have to. You could have stayed. But you do have to. You still got to be there for your woman, dude. But you have to make the space for her. You gotta like, you know how she is. Now he said that when they were in Brazil, when he would come in Brazil, that she would give him like a small, little, really tiny closet space and a tiny drawer and stuff and everything. And she was just like, well, you don't live there. He was like, yeah, and everything. But then she got mad at that. And she's like, man, you're just being manipulative. And then she threatened wants to go back to Brazil and stuff. She's like, I came here for love. But she was like, you know what? She was like, I love Thomas, but I love myself more and everything. So, I don't know. This is, again, I think they're married. I think they did get married. I think they're fine, and this is like production based, their arguments, but it's just their argument. Everything is, I'm just starting to not get it anymore. I'm not understanding the manifested stuff. I'm not understanding, like, okay, she said that he made a little bit more space for her. Okay, but what else is there to do? Now, judging by the previews of next week, she feels like that she's not being heard. So she wants to feel heard and stuff and everything, and try to get some furniture. But I at this point now, I really don't know what Paula really wants. Thomas is like really getting frustrated with her and everything. But I just don't know. I really don't know where the priority lines comes with this particular couple, in my opinion. I don't know. It's just me. But yeah, I'm really struggling with Thomas and Paula at this point. And I've said this, like, they're my favorite couple, and they're the couple that I think, like, a lot of their arguments are produced. But at some point, where can we get to some kind of normal here? Just saying. So, I mean, that's just my opinion on that one. So, but anyway, that was Thomas and Paula. I didn't want to spend too much time with them. The next couple I want to talk is Mallory and Raji. So Mallory and Raji, they've been fighting over cleansiness, basically. Mallory said that in Raj's culture, like, they're cleaning constantly, and everything. So they've been having little nitpick fights over that and stuff. But other than that, they've been getting along ever since the whole Brandon situation. So in this episode, they're actually heading out to get a bidet for Rajat, because he really wants a bidet. Now, on their way to the store, this once again was a little offensive. Since Raj comes from a Muslim background and everything, Muslims don't eat pork. And I think I think Mallory gave him a pork sandwich and stuff, and then he had to, like, spit it out and stuff and everything. She was like, "Oh, don't be so dramatic." And he was like, "Baby, we don't eat pork. It's nasty." But she was like, "Well, bacon is the best pork." He's like, "No, we don't eat pork." So did she accidentally give him not bacon, just some kind of pork? Because yeah, Muslims don't eat pork, Mallory. You should know that. I mean that's kind of offensive. He didn't make like a big argument over it, but I just thought that was kind of like a little disrespectful. That I don't know. There was a mix up with their sandwiches and stuff or anything, but he accidentally ate some pork that he didn't like. So there was that. And then they actually return on their way to the store. They actually returned to the scene of the crime. Remember a few weeks ago, Mallory had opened up to us about a really tragic car accident that she was in, that she's blessed to still be alive from. She hasn't been into that area since the accident and stuff, and she took Raj to that area and stuff, and it just brought back a lot of emotions for her. She started crying. Even Raj started crying. To said, if I would have lost Mallory, I wouldn't have been able to find anybody else. And I know that's right. That is a really, like, traumatic experience and stuff and everything. And thank God that Mallory survived that, because that's scary. So she took a little look at it. She's like, okay, I don't want to be here any longer. So they finally go to the bidet store. They go to the bidet store and stuff and everything. The owner of the building takes them to see some bidets and stuff that had all these, like, unique features on them and stuff. And one feature was pretty aggressive. It was like $1,100, and then there was another bidet that was only worth $800 and stuff. And then the owner took them to the bathroom to try to use a bidet and see how much it was. And Raj was just, like, all into it, basically, and stuff. Now, they did all of that, but Mallory don't want to pay for it. Mallory doesn't want to pay for it because she's like, she's got a mortgage, she's got bills and stuff. And, I get it. And Raj don't have no money, but he really wants this bidet. Now, here was a little twist to the story, though. Mallory got like an insurance settlement from that accident. She said it didn't make her rich, but she put it like in a safe, like a really safe spot where she actually has hard access, like really has limited access to get to, just so she doesn't spend it. And I think that is smart that she did that. Um, and she said she only wants to get to it if there's like a diehard emergency. And she said that she's like, I'm not spending 800 to $1,000 when I could just use my hand. Basically, I'm like, wow, okay, okay. I'm not spending $800 where I can just use my hand. And so Raj is getting upset because he really wants the bidet. He was like, this is not important. This is not a priority. We got a wedding to prepare for and everything. And Raj is getting upset about it and everything. And I'm like, dude, here's one thing I always wonder with 90 Day, when the original spinoff. Um, I know a lot of people like come from the countries that don't really have much and everything. But but a lot of people say when throw that card, oh, I gave up my whole life to come here. Oh, I had a good job, this and that. And didn't you so before you came here, didn't you have any money saved before you come here to just like, I mean, it may not have been much, but do you have like a couple $100 like saved that you brought here on your own since you're not going to be working during your 90 days and stuff? I mean, asking for a friend, just saying. Asking for a friend. Now, again, I could be wrong because, again, some people are coming from, the third world countries and stuff and everything. They probably don't have much and stuff. But the ones that don't, that actually thrived in their country, didn't they have like at least a couple $100 saved? I mean, that's just my opinion. Maybe they did that we don't know about, but when they come here and having nothing, I just wonder how much they rely on their partners throughout the 90 days, because they can't be just they came here, each and every one of them came here with $0. Like, come on. So I don't know. I mean, again, people's financial situations are really none of my business, and we got to quit judging people by their financial situations and stuff. But I mean, that was just always my thought. But yeah, but anyway, that was Mallory and Raj. The next couple I want to talk is Asia and Maxwell. So last week when we were in Nigeria, Asia told Maxwell's family that she wants to change his eyes, change his hairline and everything. And they sick of they're starting to get sick of Asia. So in this episode, Maxwell tells Asia that we're about to have breakfast with my family. I need you to be a little bit more proper and like be like, yes, ma'am. Hello, good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. Like that and everything, because you weren't doing that and stuff and everything. And prior to that, they were picking out clothes. And Maxwell wanted Asia to pick out some help him with some clothes and stuff, and vice versa. And Asia would say, "Oh, baby, don't wear that." And would say, "Baby, don't wear it. It's too hot. And you wear this like this and that, and everything." And he was just like, you know what? I asked you to help me. I didn't ask you basically to be bossy. And she is. Asia is really bossy. Very, very bossy and stuff and everything. And she was like, you don't have a problem with what I got on. And he didn't say nothing with that. So they go downstairs and she says, hey, mom, hey, dad, to Maxwell's mom and dad. And Maxwell was like, baby, I just told you, you need to correct yourself. It's good morning, sir, and good morning, ma'am, and stuff. So she had changed it. She's like, okay, good morning, sir, good morning, ma'am. How are you today? Maxwell was just like, in this Nigerian culture, you don't refer to them as hey, like a dog. It's like good morning and stuff and everything. Now, Asia's just like, well, what the heck? Because this ain't the first time I met your parents, and I called them mom and dad and everything, and now you're saying that this is an issue. Okay, I'll give Asia that. That was probably production and stuff and everything. So they're still talking about the whole like changing things and everything. And, Maxwell's family is just not on board with that. Maxwell's mom was like, here in Nigeria, the women have to submit. I was shocked and stuff. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. So Asia and Maxwell go out and they get into an argument in the car about everything. Maxwell is actually, due to Asia's bossiness, is starting to like second guess everything. He even asked her, "Do you think God wants us to get married?" And Asia was like, "Are you having doubts?" He was like, "Maybe a little." And she was like, "I did not picture this trip me coming home single." And not only Axel doesn't want to get married, now he's not trusting God. No, it's not that he ain't trusting God, but he's starting to listen to God a little bit more. He's starting to catch on to your thing, to your personality, basically. So basically, Maxwell started raising his voice at Asia, just saying like your this and that and everything, and Asia was like, don't raise your voice at me. This is not the Maxwell that I fell in love with. Yada yada yada. But he was just like, just behave yourself. And she was like, you behave and stuff. I'm not a little kid and stuff. And they just started really bickering just about just basically their personalities are starting to finally clash. And honestly, I'm on Maxwell's side because he is tired of Asia's bossiness, and I think it's just all coming to a head. Yes, he knew all about this before, but I think now with production in his ear and being told what to do and stuff and everything, is all coming to his head, and he's finally lashing out. So they go to this like little like market and stuff, and there's some clothes. There's some nice like African attire that they got there that was worth only $17 American. And Asia was like, ooh, this stuff is nice. I want Maxwell to give me all of give me all of this with these prices and stuff and everything. Like show me around because these are some nice prices and these are some nice outfits and for good prices that we don't get here in America, which I do agree. They were some nice clothes that they don't get but for a decent price that would be a little bit more expensive here. Meanwhile, back at the house, Asia's mom had a conversation with Maxwell's mom and dad, and Maxwell's mom was just asked her, I'm just like really worried about like her like wanting to change my son. And she was just and Asia's mom was like, well, she just wants to change like the skin tone and everything and stuff. And she was just like, this is just so weird for me. And because like in Nigeria, the women have to submit no matter how big or small, white, black, or whatever. The women have to submit here in Nigeria and stuff. So, and she was like, I understand that. And like, do you think like, since he doesn't have much money that she's going to use it against him and stuff? And the mom was just like, Asia is 38 years old. She could have been married by now, but and if that was an issue and everything, like she would have made that known by now. And Maxwell's mom was like, oh my God, I did not know she was near 40. And the producers had asked her, like, you didn't know you didn't know her age? She was like, nope, I never asked. And now Maxwell's mom is upset because now when you get to a certain age, you're not going to be able to take care of kids. Now, granted, Asia's 38. It's not like she's that old, and she can still have a baby. She ain't going to have no 4 kids, like, at this point that they were talking about last week. I thought that was ridiculous for Maxwell's mom and dad to say that they want 4 kids, want Asia to pop out 4 kids. That's, I can't stand when people tell people what to do when it comes to their bodies, and to women what they do with their bodies. It's so disturbing. But I'm just really surprised that Maxwell's mom did not know Asia's age. I really did not. So that was basically where we left off. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of getting tired of Asia, but I do like how the family is like really like sticking up for him, because he was just like, because back to Asia and Maxwell, they were arguing, and Asia made a comment saying, "You're dating me, you're not dating your family." And I hate when people say that too. Of course, we're dating you, not the family. But in certain cultures and certain families are close, and families and opinions matter, basically. And she made a comment, "Well, if you would have got your visa, you would have been in America. We wouldn't be having this problem." So I'm like, "Girl, stop, just stop." So. So yeah, that was Asia and Maxwell. The next couple I want to talk is Goofy Katie and Joshua. So we left off last week where Katie was and Joshua were having a conversation with one of Katie's ex flings, Ryan. Joshua put some ground rules that he's uncomfortable with this friendship and don't really want them around, basically. Now, this is Katie's birthday, and she is drunk as she could be. And so they have a conversation, and then Katie goes back in and just starts flirting with Ryan, again, trying to kiss him and stuff. Joshua's just getting frustrated, and his friend and Katie's friend Mark like pulls Joshua to the side, and he's like, "Look, at this point, man, you got to stand your ground, bro. Like Katie is drunk at this point. If this was me, I would be dragging her out of this bar right now and be like, "Hey, we gotta have a conversation, basically, and stuff." But you need to start standing your ground, basically. You're letting her walk all over you, basically. And Joshua's like, "Yeah, you know what? Like, because I'm getting kind of tired, and this is how like the way to start a marriage. This is not how I want to be." So he goes back into the bar, and this guy that was just talking to Joshua, now all of a sudden Katie's going up to him and wants to start kissing him. She's like, "I want to make out with you," and he was like, "Nope, nope, you are in a committed relationship." So, like, he kept on putting his hand on her head and stuff and everything. Joshua comes up to her, and he was like, "I think you're full of crap," basically. And Katie was just like drunk as she could be. She was just like, what did I do? Like, what do you think you're doing? You're trying to make out with other people in front of your spouse, in front of your fiance. Thank God for that dude saying that you have a fiance here, or or else you would have made out with them. The disrespect, like this. I said this last week. This is weird behavior. This is just so weird behavior. It's starting to make me sick with her. And I think they are married. I think they did end up getting married too, but I don't see this lasting. And Joshua does need a backbone. He really needs to put his foot down, in my opinion. Just saying. So, yeah, that was Katie and Joshua. I'm not spending too much time with her. And the last couple I want to talk is Shay and Annabelle. So this episode, and Shay's daughter Allison. Shay's daughter Allison, she is a little bit jealous bunch, and she stirs the pot too much. So this episode, Shay and Annabelle need to basically go grocery shopping. They're still on edge because Shay's lifestyle and everything. Prior to them going to the grocery store, she made them a smoothie and stuff. She said, "You need to drink the smoothie, better than beer." And lately, hitting Shay's friends have been calling and saying, "Come over," and he's like, "No, I'm watching the game here with my fiance." So those parts he's getting better on, but there's still other secrets. So they go to the supermarket, and ironically, they're meeting up with Allison, his daughter, and their kids there, because Allison lately has been feeling neglected by her father and stuff and everything, because he's been working and she wants to do things and he's not able to do stuff. And so she's in her feelings, and that's that. They meet up at the supermarket and give each other a hug. Allison's kids are there and stuff, and they get some food and stuff. There was a certain kind of food that they got, and I was just like, "Am I allowed to come over? Because I love this." She was like, "Yeah, you can come over. We're making it for everybody." And then Allison decides to spill the beans and be like, "Hey, so Nicole's stuff is still in your shed or whatever." And we're just like, "What?" So like, when is Nicole coming over to get her stuff? And Annabelle did not know that Shay's ex Nicole had had stuff still at his house. So Shay said that he forgot all about it. That whenever they broke up and she was moving and stuff and everything, she didn't want to have to pay for storage, so he let her put some of her stuff into his one of his like shed property sheds or whatever. And Allison spilled the beans with that, and Annabelle was just like, I want her stuff out today. You call her right now to come get your stuff, come get her stuff. I want it done today. So Shay calls her and everything, and there was that. So they go back. Shay and Allison had a conversation. So, well, Allison was like, "Yeah, I heard you guys were fighting about about Angie and all that and everything." He's like, "Yeah, like we had a conversation about it. I apologized, but we're good now and everything." And she's like, So, but now Annabelle's upset about Allison's stuff being in the shed. Not Allison, Nicole stuff being in the shed. So so they get back to the house after doing grocery shopping, and Annabelle is still upset about it. They actually go to the shed actually to see what's in there. So he goes to this. They go to the shed. There's like basically some furniture and some tables and some kid stuff. And he once again calls Nicole to come get the stuff. She's like, Nicole said, just put the stuff out on the internet and give me the money, basically. And he was just like, okay, we'll figure it out. He told Annabelle that. Annabelle was just like, do you still have feelings for her? Like, for real, do you still have feelings for her? Because you're just not getting, you're still technically trying to help her. He was like, well, baby, I don't have no feelings for her. I'm just like, you want me to get the stuff out? He was like, yeah, I want it out, like, or it's gonna be thrown out, not like you helping her or she has to come get it and stuff. I'm like, Annabelle, just let it go. Not let it go, just let it be. I get that she wants to push the issue, but let it be let it process it out. But I do credit Annabelle for pressing the issue. So now Annabelle is pissed, and Shay goes inside. So Annabelle decides to go and knock on Allison's door to get more information. So Annabelle goes to knock on Allison's door. Allison answers, and Allison just tells Annabelle that she's heard her dad say that he still loves Nicole and everything, that there'll always be a place for her in his heart, this and that and everything. And I'm just like, why is she's looking at it as, I'm just trying to look out for Annabelle. It was just like she's living a double life. She was like engaged in the Philippines, but single here in America. And I'm just like, girl, she is so jealous of her father right now and everything. Now, Allison has 2 kids that she's trying to take care of, and she still wants her daddy's attention like a little kid and stuff and everything. And I don't know, somebody posted something on Instagram, like a survey. Is Allison a spoiled brat? Or is she really just looking after Annabelle? And like 94% of people, I think it was 94, 97% people just said that she's a spoiled brat. Because she even said in the story, I kind of like stirring the pot and a little bit and making my dad sweat and stuff and everything. I'm like, real mature girl, real mature. So it's all going to come to a head next week, especially now we're going to see Shay party and get drunk, and this is going to piss Annabelle off even more, and I'm here for it. But Allison needs to just back away, for real, because this is just, we had this issue last season on 90 Day with Mark and me, and with Mark Starter Jordan, but Mark Starter Jordan was not this bad. She was nothing compared to this Allison girl, in my opinion. So that's just my opinion on that one. And y'all, that was basically it. We did not see Debbie and Mito in this episode. Thank God, we needed a break from them. And yeah, that was basically it. All right, guys, that is the end of my review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. To all my new subscribers, thank you so much for joining this channel. Hope you guys enjoy my content. I'll be back on tomorrow, Tuesday, to recap The Last Resort. And The Last Resort, I can't wait to do The Last Resort because we're going to have a lot to talk about on Last Resort this week. So I can't wait to watch that. So until then, y'all stay safe and have a good one. Love you guys. Bye.